there's going to be music here. So see the difference? I'm looking at my camera, and now I'm looking at you guys. See the difference in the eyes? That's why we have to look at our camera. Look at the light. Welcome, everyone, to the Ask Dr. Be Good show, the show where we bring you all the neat things happening in public education to make sure that your children become the productive citizens of tomorrow. And that's important, and you know that's important. I've said it over and over, the reason why we must take the time to better educate our kids and get them ready for being the, really, our economic future. So today, I'm going to actually talk about something that's very near and dear to my heart. And I'm going to do that with the help of a couple of very important people, college and career counselors. So, Ms. Forge, you want to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your background?
Good morning. I'm Natasha Forge. I am the college and career counselor at the Mesquite West campus. I am a college and career counselor. I have been in education for 20 years, going on 21 this school year, and I've been in education in a facet of elements such as in the classroom and as a counselor, assistant principal, and so my heart is helping students, making sure that they are eligible and ready for college, and so that's who I am.
Thank you, Ms. Zambrano. Unmute.
Yes, my name is Amelia Zambrano. I'm the college and career counselor for the Plano campus, and I've also been in the education world since 1999. So I've been servicing our school environment in the elementary, middle school, and high school level for the past 4 years.
Thank you. Before we start, let me go ahead and be a little bit transparent here. I am not in the studio. I am actually in Puerto Rico in the business center of a hotel. And so you will see a different background. But again, we didn't want to miss a week. And we thought this message was so important that we're going ahead and forging forward to get this podcast done. And so I wish actually that I could have put it so that you could see the scenery. The scenery in Puerto Rico is terrific. And the reason I'm here is not on vacation. I am here recruiting bilingual teachers. I come here at least twice a year, and that's another podcast on how we recruit bilingual teachers and Spanish teachers. We never have enough of them, unfortunately, so we come to Puerto Rico, and we're very fortunate to find quality personnel here. But let's get on with today's show. First, let me mention that it is really important for parents to understand the alignment between the elementary, middle, and high school grades when it comes to preparing kids for their college or vocational school or military future. Now, I mention those three because that in this state happens to be Texas. Public school districts are held accountable to those three areas as far as making sure that our seniors graduate into one of those three. And we must track them for 2 years and make sure that they get there. Because if too many of our graduates do not land in either a college, a vocational trade school, or military, then the school gets dinged. And the state of Texas says that it is our responsibility to make sure they get there and they stay there for at least 2 years. So you can see that that's a huge responsibility on the school. But oftentimes school has other like parents happening in the home and so forth, and that can influence that work that the school does to get those kids in one of those three pathways. So I've asked the counselors to prepare information about these requirements so that parents can start sort of wrapping their brains around what the schools are being asked to do by their education agencies and how it's carried out in the schools. Now, we're going to mostly touch on the high school and middle school grades, although certainly there is an elementary piece to it as far as having expectations and stating expectations in the lower grades that those elementary children have a college or vocational school or military future, and sort of setting that expectation in their heads before they get to middle school. So let's start with high school requirements. So Ms. Ford, I'm going to let you sort of talk about high school requirements and endorsements and so forth, okay?
Okay. In the state of Texas, they have decided that all students graduate with at least 26 credits. Even though students may have 26 credits, they do have to be allocated a particular way. So what happens is the students have to take 4 English courses. They have to take 3 math courses, 3 social studies courses, and then 3 science courses. So that's kind of like the core. And so the first 22 credits is what we consider as the foundation plan. So then after that, they also have to have, and this is within the foundation plan, they also have to have 1 PE credit, 1 fine arts credit, and then 2 language other than English credits. So a lot of times schools will offer Spanish, or some will offer German, just depending on the school, but it has to be 2 of the same language. Students also have to have 5 electives. So in most cases, when students are in school, they'll have like 7 or 8 classes within a semester. So meaning that they'll have, sometimes they have A day, B day, sometimes they have where they go to class, like the full day, 7 classes or 8 classes. Rarely do they have 6 classes anymore, however, but that's usually what normally happens. So each time the student takes the course, then if they pass, then they receive the credit. So what normally happens is, I'm sorry, let me go. I'll finish the and not go into the endorsements. So after the core has been set, which is the foundation, then we go into what we call the endorsements. So the state of Texas, which House Bill 5 has decided that many of our students were not college and career ready. And so what we do is, so a lot of times students will say, well, do I have to take a 4th math or a 4th science? And so what we're trying to do is making sure that the students are college ready. And so we have them take the 4th science, the 4th social studies class, as well as the 4th math class, so that they can meet the endorsement for multiple disciplinary. And that basically helps the colleges understand, which helps them to be able to pass the TSI and be college ready. We also offer another type of endorsement, which is what is really considered like a career endorsement. And those that are available are public service health. There's business and industry, and under business and industry, you have like information technology and business management. You also have science, technology, engineering, and math, which is STEM. And then there's also arts and humanities. So those are some of the endorsements. Those are the endorsements that schools offer so that students can find the pathway that is best for them. And each campus throughout the state of Texas, they offer a combination of at least 2 or 3 of those to all 5. So that's what is normally offered for the endorsements. Now, when students graduate with endorsements, they are eligible to attend a 2 to 4 year college of their choice based on the requirements, that they meet the requirements for that particular college. And so that is something that a lot of parents aren't aware of, that the students do have to take those classes. They do have to have at least the multiple disciplinary endorsement and or at least one of the endorsements. So what we've kind of found out over time is that students, they'll just say, oh, okay, I want to get into I'm just going to say public service health. And then after the second year, they was like, oh no, you know what? I like the business teacher. So I want to go into the business endorsement. Well, when the endorsement is set in their 9th grade year, if they want to change, they can change their 10th grade year, but the parents and the students have to sign a form to say that they want to change. So it's not just an endorsement that the students just get to change automatically just based on preference. So that is something that we would like for parents to be aware of as well. So a lot of times what normally happens is the feeder schools from like the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, they prepare the students for courses that like career courses that they could be interested in their high school. And so that's one of the things that they kind of begin to learn career and college readiness as well as in the middle school, so that they'll know when they get to high school which endorsement they want to choose, so that they won't get to their junior and senior year and want to change that endorsement. The other thing that I wanted to share was as it relates to the high school requirements. A lot of times when students are unsuccessful in middle school, they have like a grade placement committee that will come in and decide if the student is eligible for promotion. However, that is not the same in high school. If a student fails a course and does not receive credit in high school, depending on that course, the student will have to repeat that course so that they can receive that credit that is needed for them to graduate. So it's very important for them to take all of their classes seriously and to pass them the first time. Sometimes it does hinder the student. Some schools do have usually like a web-based program such as Edgenuity that will help students with credit recovery. However, that is something that the parents will need to make sure if their students have been unsuccessful, if the school offers those particular, if they offer those courses on the web-based program. Another requirement that the state of Texas has stated that the students are responsible for, they do have to take 5 ELCs, which are end of course exams. A lot of times they're still called STAR tests. So usually they have to, all students in the state of Texas have to take biology, and they have to take the biology ELC for graduation requirements. They do have to take 2 English ELCs, English 1 and English 2. They're also responsible for taking the U.S. history, which is usually their 10th or 11th grade year based on the school that which school year they offer it. And then they have to take Algebra 1. Some schools, and those are for graduation requirements, the students do have to take and pass those. Please note, I'm sure most parents are aware of this now, but as of last year, if the student was, let's just say in biology, due to COVID, they are not responsible for taking the biology ELC unless they failed the biology class during last semester. So that's basically the requirements for graduation.
So made me think of a lot of questions. First of all, let me make the comment that when I graduated from high school in 1975, there were only 21 credits that were needed to graduate. So you see that the expectation level continues to increase over the decades. The other is that what parents need to understand, and this is not a Texas thing, this happens in many states, is that high school has become a mini college, in the sense of, in middle school, kids are given an overview course or 2 of what endorsements their high school offers. And the kids are then prepared to know that those are the endorsements that are coming up in their high school. Because I don't think there's any high school that can offer every single endorsement. It would take too many staff, too many courses. It would be too complicated. And so all high schools have to limit the amount of endorsements they offer. And so this is why it's so important that parents really understand this. This puts a huge responsibility on the parents, because if they choose to move in the middle of their high school year, and their kids are, let's say they're wanting to move at the end of 10th grade, it's my understanding, and this is where you guys get to correct me if I'm wrong, that a parent looking for another high school in wherever they're wanting to move to should try to find one with the endorsements being that their child has been in the last 2 years. Because if they don't do that and they go to a high school with completely different endorsements, then for that child to be able to graduate on time, that child must make up for any pathway courses to that endorsement that were given in 9th and 10th grade. Am I right on that?
To a degree, yes, but that's where the multiple disciplinary endorsement falls into place. As long as we can make sure that the student graduates with 4 English, 4 math, 4 science, and 4 social studies courses, then they don't have to graduate with what we would consider the career endorsement. So a lot of schools, they set it up to where students graduate with both endorsements, multiple disciplinary and career, so that if they have to have one to fall back on, they can. But if a student is in a particular pathway, then yes, the parents do want to find a school that is going to help with that student's pathway, because with the pathways, we have what we call industry certifications. So it's as if a student goes to a community college and they take, instead of getting an associate's degree, they receive a certificate, say, let's just say vet tech certificate. So if they're in a particular pathway and they can, if the school is set up for the industry certification and the parent takes the student from this one school that has business management to another school that has business management, and they're both aligned to have the business certification, then the student can leave and graduate with the business certification, which is almost comparable to their associate's degree. So then they can go into the workforce with that certificate. And so that's one of the things that is usually taking place now. Many schools are offering certification, those industry certifications in different areas, such as business, as well as in business and IT. I'm sorry.
So you're making me remember that you're right. The state of Texas has given kids the opportunity to graduate with a certificate where they can then work part-time while going through vocational school in that interest area or college. And because they have that certificate, they can work full-time and earn money while going to college or going to the vocational school. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So you see, parents, why this is so important for you to know. And we do, most high schools give college readiness information nights. They encourage parents to attend the virtual fairs with their kids, the college fairs. And yet, based on my own experience with our parents, I'm not seeing the understanding of the importance to do this. And so this is an opportunity to inform all of America, if we can get the message across, of the importance of making sure that you're attending the nights that counselors have that have to do with the career paths for your students. It's so important. Can you talk a little bit before we go to Ms. Zambrano on the military piece? It used to be back at least 2 or 3 decades ago that the military piece was not a part of high school, but it is now. Can you talk a little bit about that, please?
Yes. So when we talk about college readiness, we also talk about vocational schools, as well as we talk about the military. So I'm going to go into vocational schools this first. A lot of times, a lot of people they're known as trade schools, and a lot of students, they really don't want to take the courses that they've taken in high school again, such as they don't want to take English and math and things like that if they want to go into welding. So they just want to be able to go into a particular occupation and just take courses on it. And so they do have several vocational schools in basically almost all cities that offer, like, they have cosmetology, they offer welding, they offer mechanics, HVAC, things of that nature, so that students can just go and just really focus on those courses that they need for that particular certificate, and then they can go into the workforce and sometimes make as much money, if not more, than someone who has gone to a 4-year college or university, just based on the industry. When it comes down to military readiness, we want our students to be able to do something when they leave high school. So we want them to either go into vocational school, 2-year college, or 4-year college or university. And if they don't choose those, then we do want them to go into the military. Now, one of the things is a lot of times students feel like, well, I don't want to go to the Army because I don't want to go into war. But there's other branches that students can actually go into. And so at the schools, we do offer the ASVAB, which gives them a score. So we test our 10th through 12th grade students yearly on with the ASVAB. And so each year, then we have recruiters come out and talk to them about their particular branch. So you have the Navy, you have the Marine Corps, you have the Air Force, you have what is it, the other one? The Coast Guard. Of course, you have the Army and the Navy. So the students are able to, at that point, talk with the recruiter to see if they're even interested. And they, of course, tell them about the boot camp that they have. They talk to them about the pay. They talk to them about, like the travel and things of that nature. And they even talk to them about how they can attend college, and they don't even have to service at that particular time that they're in college, because they would have served for a moment, and at that point, whenever they're ready to go to college and it's set up at that time, then they just go to college. They still get paid like they were working a job, working with the military branch. So it's like so many different positive things that comes from it, and it doesn't always mean that you have to go to war. But a lot of times, a lot of parents and students only focus on the Army. So as recruiters come out, just know that there are other branches. Even the Army Reserve. With the Army Reserve, the students can still get paid and only spend a weekend or a month and go out, and they can still have some of the same benefits that they would have if they were in the Army or the one of the military branches full time.
Thank you. Yes, I have a son-in-law who's active Army, and it's always a balance. They have to move every 3 years, but now we get to explore the new places where, for example, my daughter-in-law is moving in December from Georgia, which I bet my husband and I have been there 10 times in the last 3 years, and we've explored places with them. We've gotten to know Georgia, beautiful place there. Now we're going to go to Kentucky. They're going to Kentucky and Fort Knox. And gosh, we all know that Fort Knox is a cool place to visit. There's some other areas there that are interesting. Each state has their own interesting things to explore. And so we get to do that. And so the Army life is balanced by also having great benefits. And I know my son-in-law is currently going through college as he's in the Army, and will come out with a college degree. And then he also has some credit left over to serve his kids to go to college. So there's all sorts of benefits to also choosing a military career. So thank you very much for that, Ms. Forge. Well said. So Ms. Zambrano, we, within all of that Ms. Forge talked about, we also have the opportunity to start college in high school. So can you talk a little bit about how you prepare, for example, at your school, how you prepare kids starting in middle school for even 9th grade college sometimes?
Yes, so beginning in 9th grade, what's being offered is the dual credit. And basically, what is dual credit? It is earning high school and college credit simultaneously, so in one sit, in one class. And the benefits of being a dual college credit student is, of course, getting or obtaining or taking courses that are counting towards a high school credit. And at the same time, while they're getting high school support, they'll be getting educational support from the college they're attending. and they are actually beginning to start earning or getting their credits from a college transcript. So they're beginning to experience a college environment and rigor courses while they're being in the high school level. And dual credit can be transferable to actually most of the public four-year college universities in the state of Texas. But basically at this time, when the students are being offered the dual credit in the 9th grade level, they have to kind of juggle with to see if the dual credit is right for them. So per se, they need to understand the importance of attending, the importance of having a good time management, learning about the maturity of the subjects, the subject matters in the classroom environment, and of course, getting to know their course syllabus that it's offering at the college level. And unlike high school, that we follow the FERPA, the Family Education Rights of Privacy Act, in the college level, what they follow is a HIPAA, the HIPAA law. So this is a federal state law that ensures privacy of the student records. The college cannot provide or share grades with or any course schedules, test scores, or any of that information to the parents. So students need to be aware that, this is a great opportunity for them to learn that, they are become more responsible at the college level. There is an enrollment process. First, they meet with the high school counselor, and there is a permission with the college where they start applying and they remove holes. They register for the classes and then pay for their classes.
So in the public school arena, the public school pays for the classes. How does that work?
Say that again?
In the public school arena, the public school pays for the classes. So how does that work?
Yes, so basically the tuition is paid for, the books are paid for, and the TSI exam, that is the Texas Successive Test that is required before taking any college or courses, it's also being paid for.
Can you talk a little bit about that TSI, and when does the TSI start being prepared for?
Yeah, so the TSI this time during the COVID was waived, but they are still required to take the TSI. And it's designed to measure college and readiness in the areas of reading, writing, and mathematics. So it is used for the course placement of the student. So they must be at a college level in order to take those college courses.
So what I'm hearing you say, and if you mute for a minute.
Yes.
Because you've got a little bit of feedback going. So I want to summarize what you said, and that was that we're able to offer the dual credit to our students as early as 9th grade for those schools that are prepared to do that. Most schools start in 11th grade, but there are some college readiness public schools that start in 9th grade, and to be able to do that, they must take the TSI, the Texas Success Initiative junior college test assessment. And if they get a certain scale score on there, then they are deemed college ready and can then, but they have taken in English and in math, right? Oh, writing too. And so if they get the correct scale score on the TSI, then, and I assume this would be in 8th grade, is this a sort of a middle school? Where's that middle school alignment to the 9th grade college?
Yes. Yeah, beginning in the 8th grade. So the exemption for those TSI scores they derive from the SAT and ACT scores. But for the 9th graders, the TSI waivers would come from a STAR. So they needed a TSI rating of 4,000 for the English 2 and a 4,000 score of at least the final grade of a 70 for the Algebra 2 courses in order for that to be waived.
So you really broke up there. If you could go ahead and mute for me. Yeah. So I'm going to move on to Ms. Forge. Go ahead and mute, Ms.
Well, I'm
Zambrano.
sorry. May I just interject on that as well? I will say I will ask parents to communicate with their community colleges, because every community college is different. I do know that some community colleges, they are waiving due to COVID. They are waiving the TSI, and they are saying if students have a transcript with a course with grades of 80 or above, then the students will they will consider the students as met for a particular course. So that is something that the parents will need to communicate with either their high schools or the colleges to see if their students will be eligible for upcoming courses, such as in the spring, if they're not offering the TSI. So I just wanted to say that as well.
So it seems like the tech stuff is a little contagious because you were also breaking up, Ms. Zambrano. You are muted, right? Can you try that summary one more time, Ms. Forge?
Yes. I would like for parents to know that due to COVID, some community colleges are waiving the TSI, and it is really like you can look into finding out what their requirements are if they have waived the TSI. So one of the community colleges that we work with, they have said that if students have on their transcripts like an 80 or above, then they will be eligible to take the dual credit courses without taking the TSI. So that is just something that it all depends on the community college, if what they decide to use as an exemption or a waiver for due to COVID.
So thank you. You make a good point, and let me summarize that by saying that parents across the country really should be making sure they are asking their college, whether middle school or high school campus, more information about preparing the for dual credit and how soon they can start the dual credit. Let me also mention something that I seem to see as a pattern going on across the country, and that is that AP classes are starting to be replaced more and more by dual credit classes. And my understanding is that the reason for that is because there's two disadvantages to the AP classes, which actually a lot of families value because they don't understand how things change over time, right? And so the AP classes have a curriculum, which is a college curriculum, but then they have a test at the end of the course. And if the child doesn't make a 3 or a 4 on that test, it doesn't count for college credit. So that's number one issue. Number two is less and less colleges are now accepting AP credit courses, even if the child scored a 3 or a 4. And so what we're finding is that dual classes tend to be valued more by the colleges and have a higher chance of being accepted because the child actually took a college class. They registered at the college, they took the college class with the adjunct professor, and they fulfilled the curriculum of that college course. So they actually have a college course transcript when they're done with college with dual credit, as opposed to an AP class, which rests on that test, and then that test may or may not be accepted by the university. So more and more high schools are moving away from AP and doing dual credit. Is that correct?
That's correct. And it did bring another thought to what Ms. Zambrano had said earlier. When students, when they're deciding which college they want to attend, if they want to attend a college that is outside of the state of Texas, then it is their responsibility to check with their college to see if the community college that they want to take dual credit with, if they're going to accept their credits. So we have found that some students have taken so many dual credit courses, but then they'll go to a college outside of Texas, and then that college will say, we're not going to accept those credits from that community college. So it is rare, but it does happen. So that's something that you want to look into. The dual credit program is very beneficial to students. However, it is very beneficial to students who are planning on attending schools in Texas. Outside of Texas, you will want to make sure that the classes are aligned, and that the students is not just taking dual credit. Another factor is that many schools do offer dual credit that is free to the students, as well as the schools may pay for their textbooks, but not all schools pay for the dual credit. Some schools, the parents do have to pay for their students to take the dual credit courses. So if you are in a district that the dual credit courses are on a scholarship, or the school pays for it, then you have a winner.
Thank you for that reminder. You reminded me, I know that in our district, we had a student who not only got 60 plus hours of college, and she was a top student, she was our valedictorian, and she, because of her effort in getting so many dual credit courses, because she did them outside of school, she did them during the summer and so forth, Johns Hopkins University picked her up and gave her almost a full scholarship. I think she has to pay $5,000 a year. But here's the deal. They didn't accept a single one of her credits because, and they don't for anybody, they liked her go-getterness. She got picked with almost a full ride because of her go-getterness, but they did not accept any of her credits because they wanted her to take their courses the Johns Hopkins way. And so, you know, it's one of those, I guess it ends up being a win-win, because now she is getting her university work towards what she wants. She wants to be a researcher and a medical researcher. And so we're better than Johns Hopkins, even though she's in essence starting over, but look where she is, right? So being informed and knowing options, parents, this is huge. And I hope that you're just absorbing all of this as and leaving you with wanting to know more about what goes on at your child's middle school and high school. All right, Ms. Zambrano, we're going to take a chance on you again and see if you can talk to us a little bit about those middle school years. What should the middle school parents be doing to get themselves, their family, their child into that college readiness, military school mentality? Ms. Zambrano? Ms. Zambrano, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Well, I'll just say for middle school, what parents should be asking their
Wait, I need Ms. Zambrano to.
okay. What parents should be asking is basically, you know, like what courses are their students?
Ms. Zambrano, can you mute, please?
Okay. They should be asking what courses are they teaching to prepare their students for the college readiness, the endorsements that their neighboring or their feeder school, high schools are offering. They should also ask them if they have like honors classes, things of that nature, just wanting to make sure that their students are receiving the best education as possible to get them prepared for high school, which of course will also help them to prepare for their career after they leave high school. So those are some of the questions that they should be asking their middle schools. But I don't know if Ms. Zambriano can also add to that now.
Can everyone hear me? So yeah, so just basically to be positive and help their teens or the scholars build self-confidence to see themselves successful in their future, by helping them select courses that will help them prepare for them for an occupation of their choice, and always encouraging them to plan, whether it's a career, a technical education, a community college, or even like Ms. Forge had mentioned, jobs in the future that require like the military or any other occupation.
So should parents go to their schools and ask counselors to inform them if the counselors aren't doing that themselves?
Yes, they should. They should be in contact with their students' counselor. They can also speak with the director just to kind of see what programs they offer. When they are enrolling their students, this would be a great time to ask as they are enrolling as well, things of that nature, so that they can, begin to just learn the makeup and the setup of the school, so that they can make sure that they have their children in the best environment.
And, schools mean well, they do, but they get self-righteously busy so many times in high schools, middle schools. The student load on counselors can be so heavy. Plus, in many districts, unfortunately, the counselors are also the testing coordinators, right? One would hope that in today's day and age that wasn't the case, but unfortunately, unless you guys can tell me that doesn't happen anymore from your other counselor friends, I think it still does, right? That they're not only handling high school readiness for college and career and military, but they're also handling all the testing. And goodness knows we test too much. And so they have divided loyalties, unfortunately. They want to do good testing. They want to do good things for their roster, for their kids. But this is one of those cases where, unfortunately, the parent has to become the advocate for the child. The parent must be the squeaky wheel to go to the counselor and say, I need to know what is coming up. I need to know where my child is headed into high school. And you need to have an information night on this, or at least a personal meeting with me. And then maybe involve the principal of the school as well. What do you think, ladies?
That would be great, but a lot of times the schools also have, when parents are researching different schools, the schools also have it on their website. Usually, not necessarily all the courses that they offer, but what they're doing to help with college readiness. It also explains the endorsements, the different in some cases it may offer the courses that they offer, but usually they can also call. This is like usually in the enrollment process, they can also call the school, and the people in the front office, they can also help with letting them know kind of like what courses they offer for career and college readiness, to make sure that their children will be able to receive the knowledge and skills that they need for high school, and then of course communicate with the high school to see that they are aligned.
One of the things that I need parents to be looking for in 8th grade is the choice sheet. Ms. Zambrano, maybe you can talk to us about the choice sheet. Let's see if you're
yeah, so basically, yes, basically in 8th grade, what we meet with each scholar, whether it's whole group, individually, or we meet with the parents as well, just to help them understand what are the choices for the 9th grade level, which they're going to start earning their of course their high school credit. And that's when they decide to choose their endorsement or their career pathway, whether it's in the health, the IT, or the business, and that way they get a better feel for what their 4-year plan will look like by the end of their high school, or by the time they graduate. And that's where, that's the sciences we explain to them, the 4 science, the 4 math, the 4 history classes that they need to be taking. And of course, offer them the dual credit portion. And that way they also get to know what score they need for their end of course assessments. Because as Ms. Wirtz mentioned, it's also required.
So one of the big alerts for parents is 8th grade. 8th grade is when they start choosing, usually in around February-ish, maybe early March, they start choosing the courses and the endorsements that they will be having for next year, for the 9th grade year. They also start prepping for the TSI, which they will take before the end of the school year, so that they have that score ready and are able to pick the dual credit class for 9th grade if they're going to start it that early. And so 8th grade is a pivotal year that parents should have already been talked to about. But if they're not, if you have a counselor or counselors at your middle school that have not gotten in touch with you, you need to be proactive, and you need to be the one knocking on that door so that you can make sure your child understands fully what's being offered. And go ahead.
Right, and usually at that time, we explain to our scholars that it's a great opportunity to start taking them early, because I've met with other scholars that they're already in the junior year and they were not too aware of, the dual credit. And usually students can graduate like close to an associate's degree by the time they graduate high school. So taking full advantage of the dual credit will definitely be, beneficial for them to get ahead of themselves in the future.
Thank you. Yes, it's
I just wanted to say I'm happy that Ms. Zambriano said that. And what parents will also need to research is dual credit, high schools that offer dual credit compared to high schools that offer early college. So many of the early colleges, they actually have it set up to where students can receive their associate's degree, whereas dual credit high schools, it's not set up for students to receive their associate's degree, but it is set up for them to take dual credit courses to where they can get closer to receiving their associate's degree, or maybe even receiving it, but it's not as solidified as early college and receiving the associate's degree. So I'm happy Ms. Zambriano said that.
And some families even take advantage of the summers to do concurrent courses, and you know how in the summer they're much faster, they go quicker, and they can get ahead of themselves by taking them during the summer as well.
You're right, ladies. You bring up a good point. There's a huge difference between an early college high school and then comprehensive high school or a college readiness high school, because here's the huge difference. In a early college high school, those high schools get to test the kids ahead of time. If the kids do not test college ready with the TSI, then they're not accepted. Only kids that have tested at a college readiness level get to go to early college high school. Whereas in your comprehensive high schools and your college readiness high schools, like mine, for example, I have 2 of them, we have to accept every child that comes to us and work with them as hard as we can to offer them enough instruction so that they do score well on the TSI and can take advantage of the college, of the dual credit courses that we offer. And so you see, it's a little bit different environment. We have many kids who would not have been accepted into an early college high school because they initially did not score high enough. But over time, because they come to us and we work with them, we're able to have them finally, whether it's 9th grade, 10th grade, or 11th grade, start scoring high enough in the TSI to start their dual credit. And, you know, research shows a couple of things. One is if kids come from parents and families whose parents went to college, they have a higher chance of attending college. And many of our students do not have that. Many of our students are not from college degreed families. That's okay. Because research shows if even from families whose parents didn't go to college, if we can get the kids to attend dual credit and have a successful experience with dual credit, then the chances are much higher that they will go on to a 2-year or 4-year school after they leave us and finish their degree. And so that drives us. That absolutely drives what we do in public school to try to have kids be successful. So I see the technology has gotten the best of Ms. Zambrano. So Ms. Forge, would you do me a favor and talk about what software keeps track of all this? Because this is, you know, starts with college interest inventories in middle school, high school, and so forth. And so what softwares do districts now use? And you can name the one your school uses. There are other ones, but because they all do about the same. So talk about that software.
We use a software, it's called Navient, and basically we use it from 6th through 12th grade. And so basically what we do is we track the students. We have them take self-inventories, they take personality tests, they take different types of tests to see, like career building tests, they take just various interest building things so that we can begin, so that they themselves can begin to see what types of jobs based on their personality and based on their interest that they would be, you know, they would be well suited for. One of the things that we found is that, you know, whatever they may have done in 6th grade, that it may have changed by the time they're in 10th grade. However, because their interests change, they're growing up, they're becoming more mature, they're finding out that they like something different than what they liked previously. So that's one of the things that's kind of like it helps them as a growth tool that they can carry with them from year to year. One of the accesses that we do like from the program is that we're able to track our seniors after they graduate. So they're considered alumni, so they can still have access to it. So we can, of course, track them for those 2 years that we have to track them. Other things that it offers, it's a portal for them to build their high school resume. They are able to add in their information, such as like their transcripts and the colleges that they're applying to, the scholarships that they're applying to, money that they're receiving back. So it is a great portal for students. And like I said, it does start from 6th through 12th grade. Students, even if they are in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, there are several scholarships out there that they can apply for, and they can still start adding those scholarships to their portfolio. And so it's like basically it's like an e-portfolio, whereas it's just electronic. Everything is there at their disposal. The students have access to it. Their parents have access to it. And then, of course, the counselors and then the teachers. Some teachers also use it so that they can help build those skills with their students in their class. And so it's basically a school-wide, along with parent and student engagement portal.
So am I right in thinking that this sort of, they start in 6th grade and every year they're accessing it in some way that they are able to, and I'm summarizing, able to look at their interest inventory, look at the current skill interest, compare that to jobs, you know, what skills, what jobs those skills would lead to, and then what college then would they need to go to that's in the area or, you know, in the States, because I'm sure most parents want in-state tuition. And then they continue that. They start their college essay on there. They are able to keep their community service and any other awards on there, so that when that time comes, starting in 11th grade, they're able to compile this portfolio of all the neat things that they've done, their good grades, their tests, their college SAT, ACT test scores, all all of that into one vehicle that parents can access, right?
Yes, that's basically exactly what it is. I do know, like at some schools, without the Naviance program, the students, like if you ask the students to write a resume in their 11th grade year, they're trying to figure out, what did I do in 9th grade? What extracurricular activities did I do? I don't remember, and then they'll ask questions like community service. What if I did something at the church? Is that community service? And so, but if they're doing it year after year after year, then they already know, and everything will be housed. And it's not as if they're trying to wait to the last minute and try to go back to remember. Everything is already there. And so it's just the ongoing interactive portal for them, so that they don't have to try to go back and remember. They just automatically, if I'm in volleyball, in the fall of 2020, then I'm going to put that in the Naviance, portal or whatever. So when it comes down to my resume, then I'll already have that on my resume as something that I participated in.
So as always, time is never our friend when it comes to podcasts, whether short ones or long ones. And so we're down to the wire. I want to thank you and Ms. Zambrano for your college readiness experience and helping parents understand what goes on in the background and how it needs to not stay the background with them. Parents need to be asking questions like, what does college readiness look like in middle school at my child's school? Let's add, what software are y'all using and how can I get access to it so I can see and support the current interest my son or daughter has based on their interest inventory. And why would a parent want to do that? Well, they could introduce them to friends who currently are in that job area that their child currently is showing an interest in, right? I mean, there's just so much that a parent can do to support their kids in their interest areas to help them know whether to continue growing in that area or not. Because middle school and high school are the times to figure that out. And so thank you for that. And so since we only have a couple of minutes left, I'm going to review why we're here. This is the Ask Dr. Be Good podcast. We are here weekly with you to bring what's happening in public education so that you can become a better parent, better educator, and ultimately become a better advocate for public education. And why is that important? Well, for example, in 2011, funds were cut all over the country because of the recession. Now with COVID and, of course, people sheltering at home and not paying sales tax and so forth, there's going to be a tremendous need to look at the budget again once the legislative sessions go back in. In Texas, for example, the legislative sessions begin in January. So we are already talking to our parents and our staff about what they need to do to encourage their legislators to not cut public education and to be, or at least be the last thing that they cut, right? And so building that army of advocates for public education is my work. It's what drives me. And I thank people like Ms. Zambrano and Ms. Forge for helping me get the message out. Because as you learn to appreciate your child's school better, you then can become part of the advocacy army that I'm building. So, and before I end, let me mention that we are part of the JP, Kathy, and the Crew Network. It is a network of weekly podcasts which bring you different people with different skills, different information, and different interest areas that might appeal to some of you all of the time, some of you some of the time, but more importantly, if you have an area of interest that you think you can build a show around, a weekly show, reach out to JP, Kathy, to talk to them about the possibility. There's still a few slots left in their network, and that would be JP, Kathy, and the Crew 3 at gmail.com or JP, Kathy, and the Crew Facebook page. You can shoot them an email and get the conversation started. We are the Ask Dr. Be Good show, and we thank you. Goodbye, everyone.